Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell for new stories. In a distant galaxy, amidst the stars, the Federation of Galactic races had flourished for millennia. Among the countless species that made up the Federation, humans were regarded as nothing more than an insignificant, primitive race. Their world, Earth, was nothing but a blip in the vastness of the cosmos, and their accomplishments were considered laughable at best. The Federation's council had unanimously agreed, humanity would never amount to anything. Lieutenant Isaac Carter was the sole human aboard the Federation's newest exploration vessel, the Vanguard. His presence aboard the ship was the result of an agreement between Earth's governments and the Federation, a partnership of sorts. But the truth was Isaac's inclusion was nothing more than a token gesture. He was the first human to serve on a Federation ship, but it was clear to everyone aboard that his race was seen as a curiosity, a novelty, rather than a respected species. Isaac had grown used to the mockery. The alien officers aboard the Vanguard would openly laugh at him, calling him primitive or pathetic. They would make jokes about humanity's short lifespan, their crude technology, and their wars. Isaac had tried to prove himself time and again, excelling in his duties as a tactical officer. But no matter how many battles he survived, no matter how many alien encounters he outsmarted, the others saw him as a weak link, an inferior being. One day, while traversing the outer rim of the galaxy, the Vanguard received a distress signal from a forgotten planet, one that the Federation hadn't visited in centuries. The planet was uncharted, and its history was clouded in mystery. The Federation decided to investigate, though it was clear from the readings that the planet was largely abandoned. The ship descended into the atmosphere, and the crew was tasked with surveying the area. Isaac, though still a source of ridicule among the crew, was eager to prove himself. The captain of the Vanguard, a tall, blue-skinned alien named Zelthor, had given him a secondary role in the expedition. Isaac's task was to assist with the navigation and serve as a secondary scout, essentially a menial job, a way to keep him out of the way. As the team descended into the dense jungle of the planet's surface, Isaac couldn't help but feel an increasing sense of dread. The air was thick with humidity, and the vegetation was unlike anything he had seen before. Towering trees with bioluminescent leaves stretched high into the sky, their glow casting eerie shadows. The sounds of unseen creatures echoed through the trees, their calls alien and unsettling. "Stay close, Carter," Zelthor ordered in his deep, rumbling voice. "This world is ancient and we do not know what dangers lie here." Isaac nodded, but the captain's warning only fueled his curiosity. He had heard rumors about this planet, rumors that it had once been the home of an advanced civilization. Some believed the inhabitants had vanished centuries ago, leaving behind only ruins and relics of their former glory. Others said the planet had been abandoned in haste, for reasons no one could explain. The team made their way through the jungle, their path illuminated by the glow of their advanced technology. As they ventured deeper into the planet's forgotten ruins, they stumbled upon an ancient structure, massive and imposing, a relic of a time long past. Its walls were covered in strange, intricate symbols, unlike anything Isaac had ever seen. The structure was made of a material that seemed to shimmer in the low light, as if it were alive. "This is it," Zelthor said, his voice filled with awe. "This is the source of the distress signal." The team entered the structure, and as they moved through the dark halls, the air grew colder. The walls were lined with strange murals depicting towering figures, their forms draped in strange ornate armor. There was an aura of power and mystery surrounding the place, and for the first time since the mission had begun, Isaac felt a strange pull, a feeling of destiny. In the heart of the structure, they discovered what they had been searching for, an ancient suit of armor resting atop a stone pedestal. The armor was unlike anything Isaac had ever seen. It was crafted from a metal that glowed with an otherworldly light, and intricate symbols ran across its surface. It was ancient, but somehow it seemed alive. "This is a relic of the Xanthian," Zelthor murmured, his voice tinged with reverence. "A lost race destroyed long ago." Isaac took a step closer to the armor, his heart racing. He felt a strange connection to it, as if the armor itself was calling to him. Despite his awe, he couldn't help but feel a sense of disbelief. The Federation had never mentioned anything about the Xanthian or their technology. But something in Isaac stirred, a deep, primal instinct that made him reach for the armor. "Don't touch it," warned one of the alien officers, a tall, insectoid creature named Grix. "It is cursed. Many have perished attempting to wield the power of the Xanthian." Isaac ignored the warning, his hand trembling as he touched the cool surface of the armor. The moment his fingers made contact, a surge of energy pulsed through him. The air crackled and the room was filled with a strange humming sound. Then, in an instant, the mocking laughter of the aliens aboard the Vanguard echoed in his mind. He heard their voices, their derision, their belief that humans were weak, insignificant. But as the armor's energy coursed through him, a surge of power began to rise from within. Isaac felt a new sense of strength, a deep connection to something far greater than himself. And as the power of the Xanthian armor enveloped him, Isaac realized, he was no longer just a human. He was something more. Isaac's hands still gripped the cold surface of the Xanthian armor, and as the energy coursed through his body, his vision blurred. His pulse quickened as if the very essence of the armor was syncing with his heartbeat. The room around him seemed to distort, warping and bending as the power of the ancient suit enveloped him. He could hear his own breathing, sharp and steady, but beneath it, there was something more, something ancient, primal and overwhelmingly powerful. He could feel the armor coming to life around him, responding to his touch. It was no longer just a relic, it was a part of him, binding with his very soul. The energy was intoxicating. Isaac, step away from it. Zelthor's voice boomed from behind him. But his words were lost in the rising hum of the armor's power. Isaac could feel the weight of their gazes on him, each alien officer watching with a mixture of awe, fear and uncertainty. Isaac pulled his hand back reluctantly, but the armor didn't let go. It seemed to have a will of its own, drawing him into it. The symbols on its surface glowed brighter, pulsating with a rhythmic intensity that matched the pounding of his heart. He could feel the weight of the armor shifting around him, as though it were responding to his every thought, every desire. For a moment, everything went silent. Isaac could hear only the rapid thrum of his own heartbeat, a sound so loud it seemed to fill the entire room. Then, with a sudden jolting force, the armor activated. Isaac's body was consumed by a wave of light, and his mind screamed in both fear and exhilaration. The suit was not just a shell. It was a weapon. He could feel its capabilities, its potential. His muscles rippled with newfound strength and his senses sharpened. The air itself felt different, more tangible, as though he could see the atoms vibrating in every inch of space. But it wasn't just the physical power that astounded him. There was something else, something far more profound. He could sense the history of the Xanthian, their rise and fall, their struggle against an ancient, malevolent force. The memories of their civilization flowed through him, a rush of knowledge so vast that it was overwhelming. The armor had been designed for a purpose, and now that purpose had passed to him. He was no longer the human officer mocked by his alien comrades. He was something more, something ancient, something that had the potential to reshape the galaxy. Isaac's fingers flexed in the armor, feeling the intricate controls built into the gloves. His body was no longer simply his own, it was now a vessel for the armor's power. A sense of clarity washed over him, and he understood. This wasn't just about defending his crew or proving himself. This was about the destiny of humanity, a destiny that he would now be the architect of. Zelthor approached cautiously, his alien features twisting in disbelief. What is this? How are you able to wield it? Isaac's voice, now amplified by the power of the suit, was calm, but it carried an undeniable authority. The Xanthian chose me, he said, his words resonating with an unspoken truth. I am no longer just a human. I am the one who will lead our species to greatness. The crew of the Vanguard stood in stunned silence, their eyes wide with shock. They had never seen anything like this before. The Federation had long thought that no being, human or otherwise, could ever wield the power of the Xanthian armor. It was said to be too dangerous, too volatile. Yet here Isaac stood, not only alive but stronger than anyone could have imagined. I thought humans were weak, Grix, the insectoid officer, muttered, his voice laced with disbelief. Isaac's gaze shifted to him, the weight of centuries of lost knowledge settling in his mind. You thought wrong? The energy from the suit thrummed through his body, and he could feel the power growing. He could feel the weight of the armor, its might and its legacy. The Federation's mockery, their laughter, their disdain, none of it mattered now. Isaac Carter was no longer just a token human on a foreign vessel. He was a force that could not be ignored. Zelthor, still reeling from the sight, stepped forward. What will you do with this power, Isaac Carter? What are your intentions? Isaac turned his gaze to the captain. For a moment there was silence, a heavy, oppressive silence that seemed to stretch on forever. Then, with a voice that carried the weight of destiny, Isaac answered, I will protect humanity. I will prove that we are not weak. And I will make sure that we never fall to the same fate as the Xanthian. The words resonated in the hearts of everyone present, and for the first time, Isaac felt a sense of pride, a deep, unwavering belief in his purpose. He wasn't just trying to survive. He was here to show the galaxy what humanity could become when given the chance. "I don't know what that means," Zelthor said slowly, his voice filled with awe, "but I can feel it, Isaac. You are something more." Isaac's mind raced. He had a new vision, one that extended far beyond the borders of Earth. The Xanthian had fallen, but humanity would not. With the power of this ancient suit, Isaac could forge a future where Earth was no longer the underdog, where humans were no longer mocked or dismissed. The Federation would either respect humanity or they would fear them. But the journey ahead would not be easy. There were forces in the galaxy far older and more powerful than the Federation itself. And Isaac knew that the true test of his strength and humanity's was just beginning. The Vanguard sensors blared suddenly, snapping Isaac out of his thoughts. The ground shook beneath their feet as an ominous hum echoed in the distance. Something was coming, something powerful. Isaac felt the armor respond instantly. It was ready. And so was he. The ground beneath the team trembled violently, shaking dust and debris from the ancient walls of the ruin. The low, guttural hum that echoed through the chamber grew louder, reverberating in Isaac's chest like a drumbeat of doom. The Vanguard sensors crackled through the comms, broadcasting Captain Zelthor's voice. "Alert! Massive energy signatures detected in the area. Something's activating. Everyone prepare for extraction." But Isaac didn't flinch. He could feel it through the armor, the rising pulse of energy emanating from deep beneath the planet's surface. Whatever lay dormant here had sensed the awakening of the Xanthian armor, and it wasn't friendly. "Isaac!" Zelthor's bark snapped him back to the present. "You've tampered with something we don't understand. We need to get back to the ship now." Isaac turned to the captain, his expression calm yet firm. "This isn't random. The armor, it's warning me. Something was left behind to guard this place." The aliens exchanged nervous glances. Grix, the insectoid officer, clicked his mandibles uneasily. "You mean we triggered this? What kind of monster would the Xanthian leave behind?" Isaac's response came in the form of a glowing glyph that suddenly materialized on the armor's chest plate. It radiated a fiery orange light, its intricate patterns shifting like a living circuit. A voice, ancient and fragmented, whispered in Isaac's mind, a voice not his own but tied to the armor. "Protector. You are untested. Prove yourself." The chamber walls exploded outward as a titanic figure emerged from the darkness. It was a construct, an automaton of colossal proportions, forged from the same shimmering material as the armor. Its jagged frame gleamed ominously under the ruin's bioluminescent glow, its towering form bristling with weapons. Twin eyes, burning like molten suns, locked onto Isaac. The construct spoke in a booming, guttural language that no one recognized, but Isaac somehow understood. "The mantle must not fall to the unworthy. Prepare for judgment." Without hesitation, the construct's arm transformed into a crackling plasma cannon, unleashing a searing bolt of energy that tore through the chamber. The crew scattered, diving for cover. Isaac barely had time to react, but the armor responded instinctively. It surged with energy, encasing him in a shimmering barrier that absorbed the blast. "Isaac!" Zelthor shouted. "What are you doing? Fall back." "I'm the reason it's here," Isaac replied, his voice steady despite the chaos. "And I'm the only one who can stop it." The armor began to shift around him, adapting to his movements. Isaac leaped forward, propelled by jets that ignited at the suit's heels. The construct's massive arms swung toward him, but Isaac was faster. He darted beneath its strike, the suit enhancing his reflexes far beyond human limits. The construct roared in frustration, its voice reverberating like an earthquake. It lunged again, but Isaac's armor was already analyzing its movements. The glyph on his chest pulsed, and a weapon materialized in his hand, a blade of pure energy humming with power. Isaac charged, his newfound agility turning him into a blur of motion. The blade slashed across the construct's armor, sending sparks flying. The alien crew watched in stunned silence as the human they had mocked for his weakness stood toe-to-toe with an ancient war machine. Grix broke the silence first. How is he doing that?" "The armor's enhancing him," Zelthor replied, his tone a mix of awe and dread. "It's more than a relic. It's a weapon of war." The construct retaliated, slamming its fist into the ground with enough force to crack the stone floor. Isaac narrowly avoided the shockwave, using the suit's jets to leap onto the automaton's shoulder. He drove the energy blade into its neck joint, eliciting a deafening screech from the machine. But the construct wasn't done. It released a pulse of energy that sent Isaac flying across the chamber, slamming him into a wall. Pain shot through his body, but the armor absorbed most of the impact, quickly compensating for his injuries. The voice of the armor whispered again in his mind. Adapt. Evolve. Overcome. Isaac pulled himself to his feet just as the construct prepared another devastating attack. This time he didn't wait. The armor systems flared to life, feeding him strategies and enhancing his reflexes. A second weapon appeared in his free hand, a projectile launcher that fired glowing spheres of energy. He aimed at the construct's exposed joints, disabling one of its legs with a well-placed shot. The automaton stumbled, its balance faltering. Isaac seized the opportunity, surging forward with a final, calculated strike. His energy blade pierced the construct's core, sending a shockwave of energy rippling through the chamber. The automaton froze, its molten eyes dimming as its massive frame collapsed to the ground with a resounding crash. Silence fell over the ruins, broken only by the sound of Isaac's heavy breathing. The alien crew cautiously emerged from their cover, their expressions a mixture of disbelief and newfound respect. Zelthor approached Isaac, his blue skin pale. You defeated it?" Isaac deactivated the blade, the weapon dissolving into particles of light. "No," he said quietly. "The armor did. I'm just the one wearing it." The captain's gaze hardened. "That armor is dangerous. If the Federation finds out what you've become, they won't see you as a hero. They'll see you as a threat." Isaac looked down at the glowing glyph on his chest. He could still feel the voice of the armor, urging him forward. "Then let them," he said, his voice firm. "Because humanity isn't going to be underestimated anymore." Before anyone could respond, the Vanguard's comms crackled with a frantic warning. "Captain, hostile ships inbound. They're locking onto our position." Isaac's eyes narrowed. The construct was just the beginning. Whatever had been guarding this planet, its destruction had sent a signal, one that the galaxy would not ignore. "Then we fight," Isaac said, his voice calm but resolute. "Together." The Vanguard's alarms echoed through the comm system, the blaring sound cutting through the stunned silence in the ruins. Above the dense jungle canopy, the sky darkened as several massive ships descended, their sleek designs and glowing weapon arrays unmistakably hostile. "Unknown vessels inbound," a voice crackled through Zelthor's communicator. "We're being scanned. Wait, energy signatures match ancient Xanthian tech." Isaac stood at the edge of the ruins, his armor glowing faintly as it synchronized with his heightened awareness. The jungle around them came alive with an ominous hum. It wasn't just the ships, they had activated something else. "They're not here for us," Isaac said, his voice calm but resolute. "They're here for the armor." Zelthor turned to him, his expression grim. "If they want that armor, they'll stop at nothing to take it." "And with the Federation's laws?" "I know," Isaac cut in. "They'll label me as a rogue element. A threat to galactic peace. But we don't have time for politics right now." Overhead, the enemy ships opened fire. Blazing beams of energy scorched the jungle, igniting trees and reducing ancient structures to rubble. The crew scattered for cover, their alien bodies quick but no match for the overwhelming assault. Isaac, however, didn't run. Instead he stepped forward. The Xanthian armor pulsed with power, and a translucent shield expanded outward, deflecting the incoming blasts. The force of the attack rippled through him, but the armor held firm. His voice echoed through the comm system, amplified by the armor's tech. "Everyone get to the ship. I'll hold them off." Zelthor hesitated, his loyalty warring with his survival instincts. "Isaac, you can't face them alone." Isaac turned, his gaze steady. "I'm not alone. This armor isn't just a weapon, it's a legacy. If I fall, humanity falls with me. So get moving now." Reluctantly, Zelthor gave the order. "Team, fall back to the Vanguard. Double time." The alien crew sprinted through the jungle, dodging falling debris and blasts of energy. Isaac stayed behind, his armor shifting and morphing as he prepared for the coming assault. The enemy ships descended further, disgorging squads of heavily armed soldiers. They weren't Federation, they were mercenaries clad in advanced exosuits that glimmered with stolen Xanthian tech. Their leader, a towering reptilian figure with scaled armor and an energy mace, stepped forward. His voice boomed across the battlefield, translated into galactic standard. "Human, surrender the armor and we may let you live." Isaac didn't flinch. "I've heard that line before," he replied, raising his arm as a glowing gauntlet formed around it. "It didn't work then and it won't work now." The leader snarled, waving his mace. "Then die, thief." The mercenaries charged. Isaac's reflexes kicked into overdrive as the armor systems guided his movements. His gauntlet transformed into a cannon, firing pulses of energy that exploded on impact. The mercenaries' shields flickered and failed, their formations breaking apart as Isaac weaved through their ranks with precision. One soldier lunged at him with a blade, but Isaac sidestepped effortlessly, countering with a glowing blade of his own. The soldier collapsed, his exosuit sparking. Another fired at Isaac from above, but the armor's adaptive shielding absorbed the blow, redirecting the energy back at the attacker. The jungle erupted into chaos as Isaac fought with an intensity that left even his enemies in awe. To him, the world slowed down, each movement calculated and deliberate. Every attack felt like a step toward proving humanity's worth, not just to the Federation but to himself. Then the reptilian leader joined the fray. His mace crackled with electricity as he swung at Isaac, who barely dodged the strike. The ground where the mace landed exploded in a burst of energy, sending debris flying. "You can't defeat me, human," the leader growled, his eyes narrowing. "That armor doesn't make you a warrior." Isaac smirked, raising his blade. "It's not the armor that makes me a warrior. It's what I'm fighting for." The two clashed, their weapons sending shockwaves through the battlefield. Each strike was met with equal force, neither giving an inch. The leader's strength was undeniable, but Isaac's agility and adaptability gave him the edge. As their battle raged, the mercenaries regrouped, focusing their fire on the retreating crew of the vanguard. Isaac noticed immediately. His voice thundered through the comms. "Captain, status report. We're almost to the ship." Zelthor replied, his voice strained. "But they're closing in fast." Isaac's chest plate glowed as the armor system synchronized fully with his mind. He activated a secondary function, the glyphs on the armor blazing brighter than ever. In an instant, a wave of energy erupted from him, sending the reptilian leader flying and creating a protective barrier around the fleeing crew. The mercenaries hesitated, their confidence shaken. Isaac seized the opportunity, raising his arm to the sky. The armor responded, forming a weapon unlike anything he'd wielded before, a massive energy cannon that hummed with raw power. "Get off this planet," Isaac growled, his voice low and menacing. He fired. The beam of energy shot upward, striking the lead enemy ship. The explosion lit up the sky, sending shockwaves that forced the remaining ships to retreat. The mercenaries on the ground scattered, their morale broken. As the dust settled, Isaac stood alone in the ruins, the jungle around him silent once more. He deactivated the cannon, the armor's glow dimming. "Isaac," Zelthor's voice came through the comms. "We're aboard the Vanguard. Are you coming?" Isaac took a deep breath, staring at the destruction around him. "I'm on my way. But this isn't over. Whoever sent those mercenaries knows about the armor. And they'll come for it again." He turned toward the Vanguard, his resolve stronger than ever. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for too long. But now, with the power of the Xanthian armor, Isaac was ready to show them what it truly meant to be human. The Vanguard hurtled through the void of space, its engine straining as it pushed to escape the gravity well of the jungle planet. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. The crew worked silently at their stations, processing the chaos they'd just fled. But their eyes often flicked to the center of the bridge, where Isaac stood. The Xanthian armor still enveloped him, though its glow had dimmed. He remained motionless, staring out the viewport at the dark expanse of stars, his mind racing with possibilities and fears. The events on the planet had awakened something far greater than himself, and he knew it wasn't just the mercenaries that would come after him. Zelthor stepped up beside him, his posture rigid. "We've entered warp space. We'll reach the Federation border in 3 hours." Isaac didn't turn. "And what happens when we get there?" The captain hesitated, his jaw tightening. "I've sent a report to command. They'll want answers about what happened on the surface. They'll see me as a threat," Isaac replied, his voice heavy. "You know that." Zelthor sighed, his antennae drooping. "They might. But if we try to hide this, it'll be worse. The Federation doesn't take kindly to secrets, especially ones with the potential to reshape galactic power." Isaac finally turned to face him, his eyes hard. "This isn't just about the Federation, Captain. The mercenaries weren't acting on their own. Someone knew the armor was here. Someone who wants its power for themselves." Before Zelthor could respond, the comm officer, a reptilian alien named Crix, called out. "Incoming transmission from Federation High Command. They're demanding an immediate debrief." Isaac straightened, the armor shifting subtly in response to his resolve. "Put it through." The main display flickered to life, revealing the stern face of Admiral Aaron Voss. Her features were sharp, her human lineage evident, but her eyes were cold, calculating. Behind her, the Federation crest glimmered, a symbol of unity that Isaac now saw as fragile. "Captain Zelthor," she began, her voice clipped. "Your report indicated unauthorized exploration of a Class 5 restricted zone. Explain yourself." Zelthor stepped forward, his expression neutral. "Admiral, our mission was to investigate anomalous energy readings. We had no indication that the site contained Xanthian artifacts." Her gaze shifted to Isaac, narrowing. "And you? Lieutenant Carter, is it? I understand you've acquired something." Isaac met her stare, unflinching. "The Xanthian armor. It wasn't by choice." Admiral Voss leaned back slightly, her expression unreadable. "The Federation has long sought to understand Xanthian technology. You have no idea the danger you've put us in by activating it." Isaac's fists clenched, the armor responding by faintly glowing. "With all due respect, Admiral, the danger isn't the armor. It's the people who are willing to kill for it." Voss's eyes flickered with irritation. "And what do you propose we do, Lieutenant? Hand it over to you? Let a single, untrained human wield the power of an extinct civilization?" Isaac stepped closer to the display, his voice steady but firm. "The armor chose me. It's bonded to me. And whether the Federation likes it or not, that makes me the only one who can use it. I'm not asking for permission. I'm offering to stand between you and whatever's coming." A tense silence followed. The crew of the Vanguard exchanged uneasy glances, but no one dared interrupt. Finally, Admiral Voss spoke, her tone icy. "Very well, Lieutenant. You'll return to Federation space immediately and surrender yourself and the armor for containment and study. This is not a negotiation." Before Isaac could respond, the ship's proximity alarms blared. Crix shouted over the noise. "Multiple ships dropping out of warp. They're not Federation, hostile signatures confirmed." On the viewport, a fleet of black, angular ships materialized, their hulls bristling with weapons. Isaac's stomach dropped. He recognized the insignia on their sides, a crimson claw wrapped around a shattered star. "The Crimson Vultures," Isaac muttered. "Pirates. Mercenaries for hire. And they brought a fleet?" Zelthor barked orders to the crew. "Raise shields. Prepare for evasive maneuvers." Admiral Voss's voice cut through the chaos. "Carter, you brought this upon us. Do you see now why the Federation cannot trust you?" Isaac turned to the screen, his voice sharp. "Admiral, save your lectures. Either help us fight or get out of the way." The transmission cut abruptly, replaced by the incoming fire from the pirate fleet. The Vanguard shuddered as the first volley struck its shields. Isaac steadied himself, his mind already working on a plan. "Captain," he said, turning to Zelthor, "get your crew to safety. I'll handle this." Zelthor stared at him, incredulous. "You can't take on an entire fleet alone." The armor's glyphs began to glow brighter, and Isaac's voice took on a commanding edge. "I don't have a choice. This is why the armor chose me, to face what no one else can." Without waiting for a response, Isaac turned and sprinted toward the ship's airlock. The armor shifted around him, forming a sleek, aerodynamic exosuit designed for zero-gravity combat. As he entered the airlock, the captain's voice came through his comm. "Isaac, if you do this." "I'll survive," Isaac interrupted, his tone resolute. "I have to." The airlock opened and Isaac launched into the cold void of space. The enemy ships loomed ahead, their weapons glowing as they prepared another strike. Isaac's armor adapted instantly, jets igniting to propel him forward. His HUD lit up, analyzing the fleet and highlighting weak points. The voice of the armor whispered in his mind once more, "Face the storm. Become the storm." Isaac smirked. "Let's see what this armor can really do." As he dove into the heart of the enemy fleet, the galaxy held its breath. Isaac hurtled through the void, his armor's jets flaring as he darted toward the incoming pirate fleet. The Vanguard fired. Sporadically, its energy cannons struggling to hold off the Crimson Vulture's relentless assault. Explosions lit the darkness of space, but Isaac's focus was razor-sharp. "Armor, give me options," he muttered. His HUD flared to life, targeting systems marking weak points across the enemy ships. The voice of the armor resonated in his mind again, calm but commanding, "Strike decisively. Conserve your strength. Adapt as needed." Jets of plasma streaked past him, narrowly missing his sleek, armored frame. Isaac twisted mid-flight, the armor responding as if it were an extension of his body. With a flick of his wrist, a weapon materialized, a shimmering energy spear. "Let's see if this works." He hurled the spear toward the nearest ship. It pierced the hull with precision, detonating in a brilliant flash. The ship splintered, and Isaac was already moving to the next target before the wreckage could drift into the abyss. The pirate fleet reacted quickly. Fighters swarmed around him like hornets, their automated systems targeting him with brutal efficiency. Isaac activated his armor shield, deflecting a barrage of laser fire. He dived between two smaller ships, forcing them to fire on each other in the chaos. Zelthor's voice crackled through his comm. Isaac, you're drawing too much fire. Fall back to the vanguard. We can? You can't, Isaac interrupted, banking hard to avoid a missile lock. They're here for me. If I don't end this now, they'll keep coming until none of us are left. Inside the vanguard, Zelthor slammed a fist onto the console. Damn it, Carter, don't play the martyr. But Isaac was beyond hearing. His focus narrowed as he accelerated toward the largest pirate vessel, a dreadnought bristling with weapons. His HUD highlighted its weak points, shield generators on its underbelly and a vulnerable power core buried deep within. The armor's voice whispered again. This battle requires sacrifice. Are you prepared? Isaac's jaw tightened. I didn't come this far to turn back now. With a thought, his armor shifted, forming a massive energy cannon over his right arm. The glyphs on his chest pulsed brighter as power surged through him, making the air around him shimmer. He aimed for the dreadnought's shields and fired. The beam tore through space, striking the shield generator with devastating precision. Sparks and debris erupted as the shield collapsed, leaving the ship exposed. Isaac accelerated toward the dreadnought, weaving through a storm of defensive fire. Carter, they're locking onto you? Zelthor's voice was panicked now. I know, Isaac replied, his voice steady. They won't get the chance. Two fighters closed in behind him, their weapons glowing as they prepared to fire. The armor reacted instantly, ejecting glowing shards of energy that sliced through the fighters like knives. Isaac didn't even glance back as they exploded. He reached the dreadnought's hull and slammed into it with enough force to create a crater. His armor's claws extended, anchoring him in place as the ship's guns tried to adjust to his position. Armor, open a path, Isaac commanded. The voice responded immediately. Path opened. A glowing blade appeared in his hand, and he drove it into the hull, carving his way inside. The metal screamed as it gave way, exposing a dimly lit corridor. Isaac dropped into the ship, his armor scanning for the power core. Alarms blared and armed mercenaries poured into the corridor. Isaac moved with inhuman speed, his blade flashing as he deflected their fire and cut them down. The armor enhanced his movements, making him an unstoppable force. He pushed deeper into the dreadnought, the armor guiding him toward the core. Along the way, more mercenaries fell, their weapons useless against the Xanthian technology. Finally, he reached the core chamber. A massive, pulsating sphere of energy hovered in the center, protected by layers of reinforced plating. Isaac stepped forward, the armor's voice resonating louder than ever. This is your moment. Finish it. Isaac raised his arm, the energy cannon forming again. He charged the weapon, pouring every ounce of power the armor could muster into it. The glyphs on his chest glowed blindingly bright, and the air crackled with raw energy. The core's defenses activated, turrets emerging from the walls to fire at him. Isaac spun and dodged, his cannon remaining locked on target. He unleashed the blast. The beam struck the core, and for a moment, the entire ship seemed to hold its breath. Then the core overloaded, a cascade of explosions rippling outward. Isaac turned and sprinted back the way he came, the armor's jets propelling him through the collapsing corridors. Behind him, fire and debris consumed everything in their path. He reached the breach in the hull just as the dreadnought began to break apart. With one final leap, he launched himself into space, the armor forming a protective cocoon around him. The dreadnought exploded in a brilliant flash, taking half the pirate fleet with it. The remaining ships scattered, their formation broken. Isaac floated in the void, his armor dimming as it shifted back into its default form. The vanguard pulled alongside him, its airlock opening to bring him aboard. As he stepped onto the deck, battered but victorious, Zelthor approached him, his expression a mixture of awe and frustration. You just took out an entire fleet by yourself? Isaac gave a tired smile. Not by myself. The armor and I were a team. Zelthor shook his head. This isn't over, Carter. The Federation, the pirates, whoever's behind this, they'll all come after you now. Isaac's gaze hardened. Let them. I'm done running. The vanguard cruised silently through the black void of space. Its hull bore the scars of the battle, but its crew was alive, and for now that was enough. In the medical bay, Isaac sat on a reinforced chair, the Xanthian armor partially retracted, revealing his sweat-soaked face and exhausted expression. Zelthor stood across from him, arms crossed. His normally composed demeanor was replaced with visible tension. "You realize what you've done, Carter?" he asked, his voice low but intense. Isaac wiped his face with a cloth, his hand trembling slightly. "I stopped them. That's what I've done. You destroyed a dreadnought, crippled a mercenary fleet, and wielded power the Federation has only dreamed of. Do you think they'll celebrate you for that?" Isaac's gaze met Zelthor's, unwavering. "I didn't do this for the Federation. I did it to protect what matters. If they can't see that, it's their problem." Zelthor sighed, rubbing his temples. "You don't understand. This armor makes you a symbol of fear, of defiance, of power. The Federation won't allow something they can't control to exist. You've forced their hand, whether you meant to or not." The ship's comm system interrupted their conversation. "Captain, incoming transmission from Federation High Command." Zelthor shot Isaac a glance, then tapped his communicator. "I'll take it in the war room." Isaac stood, the armor shifting seamlessly back into place. "No," he said firmly. "We'll take it here. Together." The captain hesitated but nodded. Moments later, Admiral Voss's stern face filled the holographic display. Behind her, the Federation's crest gleamed, a stark reminder of the authority she wielded. "Lieutenant Carter," she began, her tone as icy as ever. "I trust you understand the gravity of your actions." Isaac crossed his arms, the armor shifting subtly with his movements. "I understand that I stopped a fleet of mercenaries from turning your precious Federation into rubble." Voss's eyes narrowed. "And in doing so, you've exposed a power far beyond what any single individual should wield. That armor is a threat to galactic stability." "It's only a threat to those who abuse their power," Isaac shot back. "You've had centuries to unlock the secrets of the Xanthian, and what have you done with it? Nothing. Meanwhile, humanity has been mocked, sidelined, and treated like a second-class species. This armor proves we're more than that. We've always been more." Zelthor stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Admiral, with respect, Isaac's actions saved us all. The Federation should see this as an opportunity, not a threat." Voss's gaze shifted to the captain. "Your loyalty is noted, Captain, but misplaced. Lieutenant Carter, you will return to Federation space immediately and relinquish the armor for containment and study. Non-compliance will be considered an act of treason." Isaac leaned forward, his eyes blazing with defiance. "You want the armor? Come and take it." Before Voss could respond, another signal interrupted the transmission. The holographic display flickered, replaced by the image of an unfamiliar figure. The being was tall and cloaked, their features hidden except for glowing eyes that radiated intelligence and menace. "I see humanity's fire still burns brightly," the figure said, their voice echoing with an unnatural resonance. "Who the hell are you?" Isaac demanded, the armor's glyphs pulsing as it registered the new threat. "I am Atris, speaker for the Shadow Consortium," the figure replied. "The ones who orchestrated today's events. You have proven yourself a worthy adversary, human, but this is only the beginning." Admiral Voss's image reappeared in a split screen, her expression unreadable. "The Shadow Consortium is a myth." Atris chuckled darkly. "Myths often hide truths, Admiral. And the truth is, your Federation has grown complacent, blind to the shadows gathering at its borders. But this human," the glowing eyes locked onto Isaac. "He is a spark, a reminder of what the galaxy has forgotten, that fire can consume or illuminate. We will see which path he chooses." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. Zelthor spoke first. "What in the name of the stars was that?" Isaac shook his head, his mind racing. "Whoever they are, they know about the armor. They've been pulling strings behind the scenes, and this was just a test." Voss's voice was sharp. "This changes nothing. Carter, you will—" Isaac cut her off. "No. You don't get it, do you? This isn't about you or the Federation. It's about survival. If the Consortium is real, they won't stop until they control the galaxy. And I'm not going to stand by while that happens." Voss's expression darkened. "You're making a mistake, Lieutenant." Isaac stepped closer to the display, the glow of the armor illuminating his face. "Maybe. But humanity didn't survive this long by playing it safe." The transmission ended, leaving the crew of the Vanguard in stunned silence. Zelthor approached Isaac, his voice low. "What's the plan?" Isaac turned to him, his expression resolute. "We find the Consortium. We stop them before they can make their next move. And we prove to the galaxy that humanity isn't just surviving, we're thriving. As the Vanguard adjusted its course, Isaac felt a renewed sense of purpose. The Xanthian armor wasn't just a relic of the past, it was a key to the future. And with it, he would carve humanity's place in the stars, no matter what it took. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for the last time. The stars outside the Vanguard were a cold, distant reminder of the challenge ahead. The Federation's warnings were clear, and yet Isaac Carter had never been more certain of his path. As the ship glided through space, his mind was alight with possibilities. The battle was far from over. The Shadow Consortium was a threat that could undo everything the galaxy had built. And it was humanity that would stand in the way of their darkness. Isaac stood on the bridge, his gaze fixed on the holographic star charts floating before him. Zelthor walked up beside him, the weight of the moment clear in his posture. "I never thought I'd see the day when humanity would be at the center of the galaxy's stage," the captain said quietly, his voice tinged with awe. Isaac didn't look at him. "Neither did I. But we've always been underestimated. It's time we show them why that was a mistake." The armor on his body pulsed faintly, as if it recognized the resolve in its wearer. It had become more than just a tool for survival, it had become part of him. His strength, his shield, and his purpose. Zelthor studied him, his expression conflicted. "And what do you plan to do now? The Federation wants you in custody and the Shadow Consortium." He trailed off, not needing to finish the sentence. Isaac turned away from the star charts, his jaw set. The Federation can't control the armor. They don't know what they're dealing with. And the Consortium? They think they can use fear and power to rule the galaxy. But they're wrong. The galaxy's biggest mistake was thinking humanity could be ruled. Then what's the next move? Isaac's eyes flashed with determination. "We go to the heart of the Consortium. We find their leaders, expose them for what they are, and we take back control of our destiny. But we'll need allies. We can't fight this battle alone." Zelthor nodded slowly. "The Federation won't help you. They'll be a problem, not an ally." "I didn't expect them to," Isaac replied. "The Federation is just a product of old thinking, a system designed to keep the status quo intact. But humanity is more than just a cog in their machine. We've always been capable of so much more." Zelthor's antennae twitched as he considered Isaac's words. "And the armor? What happens if the Consortium tries to take it from you?" Isaac looked down at his hands, his fingers brushing against the cool surface of the armor. "I'll make sure that doesn't happen. This armor has chosen me for a reason. It's more than just a weapon. It's a legacy. The legacy of the Xanthian. The legacy of every species that fought to be free." The captain fell silent, seemingly weighing the enormity of the situation. "You're asking for a war, Isaac? A war that the Federation won't sit out. The galaxy may never be the same again." Isaac faced him, his eyes burning with conviction. "I'm not asking for a war. I'm asking for freedom. Freedom for humanity. Freedom for every species that wants to stand on their own." Just then the comm system crackled to life, and Crix's voice rang out from the bridge. "Captain, we've received a message. It's encrypted, but it's from someone unexpected." Isaac's heart skipped a beat. He turned to Zelthor. "Put it through." The screen flickered, revealing an image that made Isaac's blood run cold. A tall figure, garbed in dark robes, their face obscured by a hood, but the voice was unmistakable. "Isaac Carter. You've made a dangerous choice." Isaac's hand clenched into a fist. "Atreides. You've interfered with the Consortium's plans," Atreides continued, their voice cold and calculating. "And while I admire your tenacity, you are playing a game you cannot win. The galaxy is not yours to command." Isaac's voice was unwavering. "The galaxy is not anyone's to command. If you want it, you'll have to come and take it." Atreides chuckled darkly. "So be it. You will find no allies in your quest. The Federation will turn against you. And when you finally face us, you will discover that the armor you cherish so much will not save you." The transmission ended abruptly, but the message hung heavy in the air. Isaac could feel the weight of Atreides' words, but they didn't break his resolve. If anything, they only solidified it. "We've got a long road ahead of us," Isaac said, turning to face the crew. "But we're not backing down. The Shadow Consortium wants to rule the galaxy, but they're about to learn that humanity doesn't kneel to anyone." Zelthor nodded, his eyes filled with a new understanding. "Then we'll stand with you. Wherever this goes, we're with you." Isaac turned back to the star charts, his mind already mapping their next move. The path to the Consortium would be treacherous, and the Federation would likely be a bigger obstacle than the pirates. But they would make it through. Humanity had never been a stranger to hardship. We need to find those who will stand with us. The galaxy may be fractured, but there are others who want to see it change. We just have to convince them that humanity is worth fighting for. A voice from the back of the bridge spoke up, Crix, her tone hopeful but hesitant. You really think we can do this? With all the odds stacked against us? Isaac turned to face her, his eyes burning with the fire of determination. I don't think we can. I know we can. The vanguard accelerated forward, cutting through the void of space toward the unknown. The galaxy's future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity had finally found its place in the stars. And Isaac Carter, the human who had once been mocked and underestimated, would lead them into a new era. The war against the Shadow Consortium was just beginning. But Isaac no longer saw it as a battle for survival. He saw it as a fight for humanity's legacy. And no matter the cost, he would make sure that legacy was written in the stars. The end. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more exciting HFY stories. Your support means the world to us. And make sure to tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. Stay tuned for our next adventure, and until then, keep exploring the stars. See you in the next video.